listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 315. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade, and it is an editors-only podcast, though there is sadly only two editors here today. It's just myself and our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
It turns out a lot of people mourn the wicked.
I think that's where Sophia's at right now. She's mourning the wicked and couldn't make it on the show. And no, Sophia is traveling right now, and we miss her terribly. But Erik and I have seen some films, and we're going to talk about them, and we're going to update the award season race right here before the holidays coming out. Maybe we'll have another one of these before the holiday or the holiday week actually coming up. But there's a lot going on. And Erik, you're in Los Angeles right now. You have been at premieres, and you have been around voters, and you have been moderating Q&As, and you have been a busy bee. And I've been interviewing a ton of people, and this season has felt like it is on. The race is on right now. And so I just wanted to first off get your general thoughts and vibes while you've been out there, and what you've been hearing, and what and just what the overall vibe of the season is so far.
Well, everybody's annoyed by the rain, but also in pure California tradition, it's also we really needed this. So it's a combination of that, which is California and Los Angeles to a T.
I love your
Uh,
50-year-old with a white wine voice, right? My 50-year-old woman with a white
it's
wine voice.
this is my morning voice, basically. Yeah, like I've just been gargling nails. Um, it's been a very, very busy week, and it always is this time of year. Uh, There's Golden Globe voting and Critics' Choice voting next week. The holiday is next week, so the number of events and screenings are just kind of out of control, and press conferences and everything. They're right on top of each other. And sometimes they're in the same hotel, which is great, but usually have to kind of run around. Unfortunately, for some, it's really a long distance away from event to event or screening to screening. But sometimes it's close enough that you're able to kind of do a whole bunch of these. But, whether you're a journalist or a voter or somebody in the industry, it is a a bit of a tangled web of being able to kind of get to everything that you want. So people miss a lot, and that's why we have screeners. That's why people in the industry will sit home during Thanksgiving weekend and watch three or four things, because you'll ask them, "Have you seen this?" Or they'll ask me, "What have you seen that you liked?" And a lot of times it'll be, "I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that yet." And that tells me that either they are working a lot, which is great, or there just isn't enough time to do everything in a day or 2 days.
I feel the same way. I mean, that's the other thing is that while you've been doing that, and I have been able to talk to some people and some voters already, we're right now in the season where everybody is playing catch up, and everybody is trying to, talk to everyone. I was at a screening last night for a film we're going to talk about today, Marty Supreme. And it was just critics saying, what do I need to catch up on? What are the things that I need to see before my ballots are in? Ballots are going to be coming out for CCA very soon. Also, all these critics groups, Atlanta and various large groups like New York are going to be releasing literally the first week of December. And we are going to have the Gothams and Indie Spirits, and all these things are going to just be it's going to be massively packed. I don't know if Erik's ready for it. I don't know if you're ready to post all of that stuff up on the site, but we're going to die trying, I suppose.
I was
And
just in another chat with my old awards friends, and they did that. They sent out the calendar and what my week is going to be like, and it said, "Well, this is the time of year I wish I still did meth, because I don't think I'll be sleeping."
no, I think that's fair, but I think it's very interesting to see who's in Los Angeles, who's doing Q&As, who's doing stuff in New York, who's doing things in London. London seems to be a very hot spot. Like PTA and Leo are where they are right now. Obviously, there's the Hamnet premiere and Wake Up Dead premiere that you went to. There's tons of screenings. Like I saw Amanda Seyfried doing a ton in New York. And then, of
Hmm.
course, there is this massive train that has started this week and at the beginning of the week. And that, of course, is the Wicked train. And their minimal press tour that happened, but still but not minimal enough where they weren't like on every single fucking show and talking about this and then and having screenings that you went to with Q&A with the entire cast and being able to showcase this film. And it is now out in theaters, and we're going to talk about Wicked for Good, which is a follow-up for John M. Chu smash hit last year, Wicked Part One. I think it's weird that movie's called Wicked Part One and this one's called Wicked for Good. It's like the fucking titles of these movies. Like, just anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, Ryan. Like, move on. Is We all know that if you're a fan of the musical, that the second act of this musical is not as strong as the first. But John M. Chu promised audience that he would expand it, that he would make changes, that he would move things around. We have a massive episode coming out this Sunday, that recording this Sunday, releasing on Monday, where I'll have full spoiler thoughts on Wicked for Good and my problems with it. But Erik, you were there at that screening. It was, a heavily, crowded, screening indeed, and full to the house because the girls were there. But before I get to any thoughts on that Q&A, what were your thoughts on the film, Wicked for Good?
Um, well, so um, I mean, I am a fan of the original musical. I saw it in San Francisco before it went to Broadway. So the street credit that I need, I have. So everybody with their little bubble accounts that wants to
Yeah, do you
have
have a
things to say, we'll talk about that in a minute. In a minute. But
I was gonna say, we'll have a little
just
corner
just
for
need
you
to
there.
es- just need to establish that I know what I know, and I relax people.
Okay.
Um, so I liked it. It's there's no real issue with the length of it in when you're watching it at theater. 2 hours and 45 minutes with an intermission is absolutely perfect for a musical. And granted, the second act does not really quite have the heights, literally and figuratively, as the first act does, but it's still really good. The issue with the film is we now have 5 hours of this story, and it is just full. It's like watching an episode of Drag Race because there is so much padding in this. It's absolutely unreal. It's unbelievable. And it's just really poor writing. It's stretching out scenes that don't need to be. And what that kind of does too is expose the limitations of some actors and their abilities, both singing and performance. And it just makes it not fun. It makes it a slog. And the new songs are okay. They're okay, but
Like, you're being nice
I
now.
I'm I you know, I still think that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are really good. I think they are the right choices for this, and they were the right choices. Um, I think Erivo at least feels like she's doing something different with it. Grande is very much, mimicking Chenoweth with that style and the voice, but she is a really good actress. I really like her. Um, I think No Good Deed, which is kind of the big number of Act Two, really feels like like Chu wanted this to be, Defying Gravity Part Two, and it's really shockingly uh ugly. It's an ugly sequence and number,
It's one
which
of the
is
more ugly sequences in the film.
yeah,
And that's
when
saying
you're when
something.
you're That's saying a lot when you're talking about Alice Brooks because she's such a horrible cinematographer.
Yeah.
To be able to say, well, this is actually the worst part, that says a lot because it's an ugly, ugly movie.
Yes. Yeah. No, it is astonishingly bad. It is, and I say this with also seeing the musical when I was young, having an affinity for The Wizard of Oz, reading the book, knowing everything. The movie is built off of a lie, which is built off of John M. Chu saying to everyone that he was going to make changes. And I don't like it when people say they do stuff and then they don't do it. And so I think that, Josh and myself and Trace will dive deep into the reasons more so on the main show coming out on Monday. But I had a problem still with the way it looked visually. I don't think Cynthia Erivo is bad in this. I think she continues to be proven that she was the right choice to play this role. She's good. She's not great. I think she's better in the first film. I think everybody's better in the first film, which is saying something because I wasn't a giant fan of the first one. I think Ariana Grande is actually significantly worse in this film. Her lip quivering acting 101 is one note and takes really away from any of the emotionality of the character. The new songs are a massive distraction in terms of pace and tone. I mean, the No Place Like Home, which is such an on the nose title, and so is The Girl in the Bubble. It's such an on the nose title. But the No Place Like Home, which is essentially Dulce Bear's Harriet Tubman situation,
Hmm.
and it's rough. I told this to Erik, and I'm going to say this to the listeners. It felt like an email sent to every Democrat from Chuck Schumer about staying in your red states to fight for the midterms coming up next year when there's no hope. And all of us are just like, no, we're going to go to even worse looking Dune than what Greg Fraser's doing in the second film. It looks even worse there. I have so many questions about the Dune world that they go to Arrakis. Like, where are they? How are they eating? Who told them to go back to Oz? Like all this shit. No answers to it. But I think that Grande, and to her credit, she does her best. But she's asked to do the emotional weight of this movie, just like in the second act of the musical. And I don't think she lands that fully because she's got a director that's holding her back, that doesn't want to keep the camera on her, is moving it at 1,000, 1,000 speed a minute. It feels like, and never just allowing us to build actual connection with the character. And then all the Wizard of Oz stuff happens. That's pretty rough. So yeah, I think it's a complete dud. And I think that it's going to make a crap ton of money. It's already started to make a crap ton of money. We knew that. Like that's an easy thing to say about it. But and I want to transition to what you were talking about and alluding to, because I think awards chances for this is it's an interesting conversation to have, especially with the fact that we know what sometimes happens to sequels, and we know the critical response to this, which is very mixed. Audience response, I mean, if it's spam botted or whatever the case may be, we knew that the audience would like this. This is a movie built for the fans. But Erik, I'm kind of curious about your interactions this week with people who were very awards focused, I would say, about um, Miss Grande winning and the film's overall chances, and you stating your honest opinion on it, and then that led down rabbit holes that were so fascinating within their own fandom. It was like watching the fighting of the girls, and we were just sitting back with popcorn, but it shows the fandoms and it shows the kind of more vile side of this season when these intense fan bases are a part of it. So I'm kind of curious from that, but also where you see this movie now in the award season, now that you've actually watched it.
Well, I mean, yeah, the fan base was always going to be pretty vile, and it didn't really matter what you say about the movie, even positive comments. My take was actually very positive to both Arrivo and Grande, and that I really, really liked For Good. I thought that was a really beautiful number. But it didn't matter, it just was never enough. And so these little accounts with bubbles, which really is the most wonderfully hilarious metaphor.
It really is.
Just went on attack mode and just with the most awful and vile things. And then sort of kind of double backed on themselves and had others saying, oh, we should not be talking, saying really bad things about these critics because they talk to people and they could tell them that the fan base is terrible and make them not vote. And I mean, boy, what a huge head about what your place in this entire conversation is. Oh my goodness, because no, nobody cares about you. No one cares about this fan base. That is not how a voter votes. Um, so then you can kind of remove all of that from any real conversation. As far as like where I see its awards chances now, I kind of wish I had held off on updating my predictions until like the last week of the month because I finally put Grande in the top five.
Look at
And
you.
I have Arrivo in my top five. Those seem very, very shaky now. The film feels very shaky, but yes, it's going to make a lot of money, and that might be enough. But maybe that's actually just enough for Avatar. That was enough for them with Way of Water.
Yeah.
So I'm still I'm still torn on where it might end up. But very, very early in the year, my initial thought was, it got 10 nominations last year and two wins. I felt in my head, maybe, that it was probably going to do half of that in
Yeah.
nomination total. It just was not going to land
Yeah.
in the same way. And that was based on the actual content of Act Two, and that it just wouldn't be enough. And now I'm kind of back to that it might really just grab those coffee table, tech nominations and and that's it. It's very, very possible.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how it plays at the various bake-offs because a lot of this material and a lot of these sets are reused. Some of them are CGI. So, like the whole castle that, we see Cynthia in looks like a CGI creation. There's no way that they built an entire tower. They just built certain sets.
I mean,
I'm
that
assuming.
doesn't matter that much. I mean,
No,
Avatar
but
won production design for an entirely CGI world.
no, I
So,
understand, but also there's just a lot. But if you're building off the back of just new sets in this world just being
hmm
CGI, when you have, I'd say, much stiffer competition this year in those tech categories, then that's
yeah,
not something that really
including
puts,
Avatar.
including, yeah, including Avatar. I mean, including the film that we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well as part of that production design. There's traditional options, there's genre options, there's a ton of options to be had, and yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think that there's also, I'm going to be the one to say it because I don't need you to get in trouble. But I think that there is a world where it doesn't get into Best Picture. I think there is a
hmm
world that it
Oh, I think
doesn't.
so.
I think there's also a world where one or both of the girls miss. Actress is an extremely competitive category this year. I don't think that they are not doing the full on blitz that they did last year for that film. Like, I felt Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were everywhere, doing every conversation. They would need to do that. They would need to keep that up. But she also had, like, Ariana Grande is prepping a tour. Cynthia Erivo doesn't have a voice right now. It seems like
Ariana has COVID,
Ariana
maybe.
has COVID. Like, there's a ton of things going on. I don't think John M. Chu is a real thing. I think people need to throw that into the wastebasket along with cinematography, editing. I think that the places for it are. And I don't think it's going to get an original score either because that's too packed. So I think like sound, maybe visual effects, original song, makeup, and costumes. But that's five, and that's maybes on all of those. There's
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
that's
I
five
think
there though. You know what I
that's
mean?
five, and that's where I was at the beginning of the year. It was
Yeah.
those five.
But then that would mean that if Cynthia, the film, and Grande got in, which are likely to happen or
It's
not likely to happen,
possible.
it's possible. That would be eight for it, which is still a step down from what it was before, but it doesn't feel like it has the passion and it doesn't feel like it will have the critical response. The critical response for it, at least for most people, was much higher and much more enthusiastic and had the songs and everything from Act One. And there's a lot more criticisms to be had. And also the release of the Rotten Tomatoes was only Los Angeles and New York. And then it kind of continued to go down a smidge as more critics saw it on Tuesday night. The idea also that Universal had a deal with Amazon for fan only screenings, but most critics did not see this film before that embargo was up, was also extremely suspect, I think, as
Yeah,
well,
we had an audience score before a critic score,
which
which
is
really tells you everything you need to
tells you what you
know.
need to know about the quality of the film and what the studio thinks of it. And so I think that, I mean, the movie is destined to, I think, have the biggest opening of the year, it looks like. And then it will be interesting to see its legs because we will have Zootopia 2, or as Jay likes to call it, Tutopia, coming out very soon. And then we will have Avatar and every movie in its path. And that includes Song Sung Blue, Marty Supreme, we're going to talk about like every movie in Avatar's path. Get the fuck out of it because Big Jim just eats movies up left and right, including movies and screens that have come before. So it doesn't have the similar runway. It has to make a lot of money very quickly for itself, Erik, because Big Jim's coming, and that movie is already selling out
It's
tons
a
of
month
screenings.
away. It's a month away.
It's still a
Wicked will do
lot.
just fine. It'll
It
do
Yeah,
fine.
but Wicked had December and the re-release and the sing-alongs and all that shit. They're not going to be able to pull those theaters this go around with Avatar coming. And the buzz for Avatar will be like most critics see it on the first. So there will be buzz for it and we will know exactly, but it doesn't really fucking matter because Avatar just prints money in a way that not many films can.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, I think that those two movies are going to be battling for potentially that 9 or 10 spot, along with a lot of these smaller films that you and I have been talking about. Like I think The Testament of Anne Lee and is definitely a film that's there. There's a lot of people thinking, also a Searchlight film like Rental Family and stuff like that have another way around. If Neon or Netflix gets a third film in or a second film in for some of those places. So there, that's where it's competing. It's competing at in like 4 and 5 spots, 6 and 10 spots, and that is not as much as last year where they were competing in 1 and 2 spots. So I think that the movie is vulnerable to have an underwhelming thing, and but it can also just because of the nature of nominations, it could just end up getting 10 again as well too easily, but not a passionate 10, like not a we're in the top 5 situation 10 for picture like I think they thought they were last year. So it'll be very interesting. I mean, I know that everybody has Ariana Grande out in the pole position, though it looks like after seeing the film, a lot of people have changed that opinion and it has switched over to where you and I have been at with Sophia, with Tiana Taylor. And so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. And because I don't think Grande is going to do the campaigning that she did last year, Erik. I mean, I could
Mm-mm.
be wrong about that, but I just don't see the push 2 years in a row for her to do that, and it still didn't wind up with an award in her hand. And
Nope.
she should honestly be in lead rather than
Yes, she
being
should be.
in, and Cynthia should be in supporting. They should flip it, but they won't.
Well,
And
they should both be in lead, but yeah.
Well, yes, I mean if you want to go that route, they should have both been in lead last year, and they should have both been in lead this year.
Yes.
But I think it would have been cool to flip. But that is Wicked. We'll have extensive thoughts on more of the issues that I have and get Josh and Trace's thoughts on that episode on Monday. very curious to hear what those guys have to think about the film. It'll be a fun conversation because Erik knows this. If you're getting me in a movie where I'm having to break down its logic, it's usually not a good thing, and that could lead to some really fun side tangents and stuff there for that film. Okay, we also saw Marty Supreme. We're not
Yes.
the New York audiences are not the only ones that have seen Marty Supreme now. Everybody is starting to see it, starting to get in screenings for it outside of New York and for critic screenings. And so you saw it at a Q&A with
Yes.
Chalamet at the
Yeah.
Academy. Yes.
Yes.
And I
I
thought
spent the most of my time at the Academy this week. I should have moved in.
there is that photo out there, if anybody can find it, of Erik in a Halloween costume as a gold statue as an Oscar one year.
Jeez. Oh my God.
I think I still have it on my phone, so
I'll bet.
maybe I'll post it the night of the Oscars this year, so
I
everybody can
usually
share
do
that.
almost every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should do it again. You should update it. Yeah,
I should, because it's
yeah,
an old fuzzy photo, so I need to do it again.
yeah. The 2025 upgrade. Yeah,
Oh my God.
um, stars Timothy Chalamet from Josh Safdie. It's a ping pong. It's a ping pong coming of age. Well, not coming of. Well, I guess a coming of age in some ways, but also just a frantic Safdie brothers movie but only done with one Safdie, the competent Safdie. It looks like, and this is A24's big push this season. And what also another fan base believes is someone's Oscar chance as well.
Hmm.
Erik, you were in the room. You got to see it. Talk about the Q&A and Chalamet here in a second. Your thoughts on Marty Supreme?
To the extent that we can talk
Yes,
about
because
it
we
in
can't
a in,
formally
in a
review it.
social sentiment kind of
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it. I loved the energy. I think Chalamet is fantastic. He's a little punk brat in it, which makes him really perfect casting. I think it is an absolute stunner in the technical categories. I think Darius Kanji's cinematography and Jack Fisk's production design are absolutely gorgeous. I think Daniel Lopatin's score is absolutely now in the top three for me of the year.
Yeah.
It's a full 80s synth score that sounds like something you would hear from Heathers or a John Hughes movie or Desperately Seeking Susan.
Yeah.
And it's packed with 80s songs. It takes place in the 1950s. And I love really, really good anachronism. And it is so fluid. It makes so much sense. The Tears for Fears, like opening, closing, Get Out, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I agree with you. I had a lot of fun with this thing. I think it's if you're thinking, hey, Benny didn't give me the Safties vibe, well, Josh has got you, girl. This is it's kind of very impressive for him. It's a step up in terms of technicals and working with these incredible craftsmen. Kanji cinematography is insane. The production design, you mentioned it, the score, the editing, and the frenetic pace of this is really great at times. There is a little bit of a slag at certain moments, like 20 minutes could have gotten cut out. A certain like
Yeah,
plot
I mean, I have a huge issue with a plot thing that happens in the second act, and
with like a
honestly, I feel
dog.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like Ronald Bronstein is really the guilty party in that more than Josh Safdie is.
I feel like he is, but I also feel like he's the glue that's kept this style and tone together. Because clearly, when you watch the Smashing Machine, none of that shit's there. So it's like it's a little bit of a consequence for keeping the same vibe going. But the supporting cast is very solid in this. This is very solid work. Actually, I know this is going to sound weird, and Erik, you're going to go, ew, gross. I actually think Kevin O'Leary should have had more. I think Gwyneth Paltrow should have had more. I think a lot of these, because I kind of wanted it to be at times more like the sports movie that it is in the first and the third act. And and in the second act, and like in the middle is when it's just about him running from place to place to place, and it gets repetitive a little bit too much. But I thought he
He
had
runs a lot. Timmy runs a lot.
he's running a lot. It's like if Tom Cruise was 20 years old, he'd be all over this fucking movie.
Hmm.
But and then there's Chalamet, who delivers some of the best work of his career in what is maybe the like most unlikable character of the entire year. Like
I
it's
don't
up
think I
there.
would go that far.
I think he is
He's not gross, ugly, mean. He's just really cocky and
but
self-centered.
he says gross, ugly things in being young and cocky. Like, I mean,
Some.
yeah, there are some lines early on that even my audience was like, "Whoa!" Like,
There's a
it,
spectacular Holocaust joke, though. Absolutely
it's
A plus.
it is crazy. It's crazy, but also it's just the ability of somebody that is 20 years old and thinks that they're untouchable, and then the world
Yeah,
humbles the fuck out of them throughout the rest of the film.
sure.
And then I think it's a movie. I think it's honestly like a movie that feels like about Chalamet growing up, like from his 20s to then by the end shot of like, you're about to be in your 30s, dude, and this is what your life's gonna really be. So I find that to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, for its awards chances, and speaking about that, this might be a top five contender in a lot of categories,
Oh,
and a top contender.
I think it's a top five contender. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if we were back to the old school days of just five films, this would be in the five. And I think Josh Safdie is a. I moved him up this morning over on the predictions pages that we're able to do over at the Ankler. I moved him into the top five this morning, and I kicked out Joachim Trier, which I know this is kind of crazy.
Wow.
I know I'm doing some crazy stuff this morning. Just because I think that that movie's kind of been quieter than on response, though it's slowly going out to theaters. And I heard some kind of tepid responses from Academy screenings. But this thing is very it's elevated for Safdie a lot in his previous style, and being in that contemporary setting, working with a lot of these craftsmen that have been around the block before. It's impressive shit. You cannot deny it. Even if, like, yes, the movie has parts where you could edit it out, or it's way too long or way too ambitious. That ambition shines through. And Chalamet, I mean, we've got I think a three horse race an actor. And I think he's I wouldn't say he's winning. I don't think he's winning at this point. Because that character's so goddamn unlikable, and how art imitates life might be a little too much. And he's young. He's still very young. To win.
No,
He would, you know,
yeah,
you
I
know.
think as much as his character is constantly getting humbled, Chalamet's going to get really humbled with the way that he's running this in ridiculously immature campaign.
Well, since you've seen the film, and in between when you saw it and I saw it, there was this massive viral campaign with an online video with like a Zoom marketing strategy, the blimp,
Yeah.
all the
Yep.
merchandise that's been sold last night, I think in New York, that like sold out all the jackets in like
Sure.
25 seconds, like or like 15 minutes. It felt like is what they
Yeah.
said on the ground.
$250 jackets.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
crazy.
I guess the economy's doing pretty well.
I, gu- I guess it's fine to be in New York City, but
Yep.
also that's New York. That's not the middle of the country. Like that's not where this movie needs to succeed. It's a $70 million budget, Eric, and it's going to be released at Christmas amongst all these other films, and still within the run of Avatar. So, like, you know, does this movie need to be successful also too in order for it to be, well in the Oscar race as well? Like, I mean, is
I
there
think it does need to be, yeah, modestly successful, but I think what it
for his
is
narrative, right?
even more than that is that this is the test for Chalamet because for for lack of a better choice, he is the movie star really of the moment. And that's I don't mean that as an insult to him. I'm just saying he has proven a really good domestic
Well, the
box
audience
office
is
track
approving.
record.
Yeah.
The audiences love him, and audiences are the ones who make stars. But when you look at those films that we're talking about, they are IP and sequels. So this is a real test, and this was a test for every modern day person that we would put in the same position, whether it was Tom Cruise or Julia Roberts, and
We just had
they
one with
would they
Glenn Powell,
yeah, they would make,
and he
their
failed.
very successful films, and then they would go off and want to do, a quiet drama or something that was very different, and those numbers would disappear. Um, and just the same way that, something like Twilight was huge, but Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson's fan base do not follow them to, Mickey 17 and
And
the
personal
Clouds of
shopper.
Sils
Yeah.
Maria. That's never gonna happen.
I wish they did. That
Um,
audience mind would
e-
be blown by those movies.
exactly,
It's like
exactly.
great.
But I think
Not
Marty
Mickey
Supreme
17.
is different because it is a Christmas film. It is getting just a bombardment of marketing and visibility.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the type of audience that would be really kind of into the marketing that's happening right now are going to feel tricked
Yeah.
when they go and see the movie. And that's sometimes something that also happens, is that you try and secure a fan base with a movie that does not vibe with what that fan base is.
No, and I mean it is at its core still a sports movie. And it is still
Hmm.
it is a struggle for Marty to get back to Japan to fight, to have a chance at the World Championships. But it is a sports movie. It was giving. I mean, this is the easiest comp because the Safdies have always been kind of linked to Scorsese, but it was like an a more energetic version of The Color of Money. It felt like,
Yeah, yeah.
and using pool rooms with ping pong instead. So I think that if audiences see the trailers and you're right, the marketing, I think they're really going to get the movie they get. I don't think there's going to be any surprises there. I just think also though the movie is long, and the movie is it's not it's going to be unusual because if people it's still a Safdie brothers movie at the end of the day. It's still Josh Safdie film, and it's not going to be like chocolate in your pocket kind of crap, and in Dune it's still a drama, and so we have to be able to see if audiences go to it. I mean I hope so, because A24 kind of needs them to. They have had a string of these big budgeted films that have tanked. The only one, and I mean, like, even the only one that hasn't is like Materialist. That was a $20 million budget. It made like 105, 108. And so, with Eddington and the Smashing Machine not doing well, this is their big full court press, to use another sports term, to try to get this thing into the Oscar race. But Chalamet is definitely in the discussion, and he's definitely. I said three horse race, Eric, because I do think that I think DiCaprio is out front, and I think because that movie is just showing more and more of a solidified sign of strength, and really strangle holding, I think, the rest of the competition one battle after another. I think PTA and Leo have been in London this week, and the response is just crazy for it.
Hmm.
Still, I think Leo's up in the front, and then I still feel that Wagner Mora with the international voters is going to do extremely well too, a veteran actor, and that movie is getting on the platforms, and I think it's going to do well once people see it, and just like it did at Cannes. So I think that those are really the two, along with Chalamet, who I know everybody wants to anoint him, and that's the other thing too, is like I think people did this with Leo a lot, where they tried to anoint him so quickly and tried to give it so much. But watching that Scorsese documentary earlier this year, it kind of was Scorsese was talking about like the dangers of if he would have won that Oscar early in his career and what that would have done to him and how he might not even be here anymore. And I'm not saying, and so it's a lesson to like waiting is always great. You know what I mean? Even for like the greatest artists that we have. And so I still think that that's why somebody like Leo waited forever. And I think that that's why somebody like Chalamet, no matter how good he is in this film, and he's very good, people will still say that, oh, he's playing a version of himself. I mean, those allegations are thrown out at fucking George Clooney for Jay Kelly, let alone Timothy Chalamet. He's a little shit in this movie. He's very good at it. I will say though, when I was watching it, he was giving me, for the first time in a very long time, he was giving me that Leo vibe. The time, see, like that cocky smile and that, and just that sort of, I've got the world on a string attitude that Leo had in his very, 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 very young age. And so yeah, I think he'll be around, but then you watch like these governors awards and he's not there, and and you see the interview where he talks about like how bummed he is that he won the Oscar, but he's not playing the game the typical Oscar way. And then the Young Hollywood edition, for what was it? Was it Vanity Fair comes out, and it's every actor that Hollywood is trying to make a movie star, and he's not. And some of them are like 45 years old, and he's not even on the pages with them at all, and yet he's doing shit with a blimp. So it's like what are you trying to say here? It feels kind of, I'm confused by what he's doing, but maybe it works. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't. It doesn't feel like it's going to work. Not with the Academy. But you mentioned Martin Scorsese as the sort of blueprint for Marty Supreme, and I definitely agree with that. Kind of where I'm at in Chalamet's Oscar trajectory as it compares to DiCaprio, because he is such a good comp for him, is this is his The Aviator. That's where I feel like Chalamet is with Marty Supreme.
Really.
He's
Okay.
he's he's not going to win with it. It's a great performance that could be a winning performance, but they're going to stretch it out more for him. He needs to do more for them.
See, I thought last year was more Aviator and this is more Blood Diamond.
Mm,
Not in terms of like he's already been there and now he's trying and he's really really trying already, and he
I
was
don't
close,
know.
and now everyone's like, okay, he's had a couple performances, he's worked with some auteurs, when are we going to do it? And then in the same year as Blood Diamond, he had The Departed. And he missed out on The Departed and
Yeah,
he had Blood Diamond. And it's like, well, we're going to
yeah.
nominate you, but we're still not fully there yet. And that's where I think that Leo was at after The Aviator, was like, he wasn't still fully there yet, but they were like, we respect you, but it's going to take another 10 years for us to get there
Oh yeah, I mean
all the
that's
way,
what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
But I
mean.
agree with you.
I think
Like he's
I
still
think
in that
Chalamet's
era.
another,
Yeah.
yeah, he's another decade away from winning.
Yeah. And he's going to have to like eat, you know, cow buys, like cow livers or something in order, like how Leo did, like where he does the Revenant. I mean, he's going to have
Oh,
to do something extremely desperate and extremely like, okay, well, we don't have a choice, and also he's going to need like a snub. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have one of those yet. And I feel like this could be that. Like a lot of people really love Leo in Wolf of Wall Street and thought he should have won for that Oscar, right? Or people think, he should have won for like Gilbert Grape or all these things. Chalamet doesn't have that yet. He doesn't have that.
you don't think that last year was that?
No, because he wasn't. I don't think people think that like, I think people think the best performance of the year won last year
So
with
where
Brody.
where do you think he was in his two nominations?
I think he was like, see, it's really tough because like I think he's like Gilbert Grape with the first nomination, right? With like Call Me by Your Name. Like he was never going to win for that. I think
Yeah, but
people
what was he? Second, third?
probably third, yeah. And then I think and then yeah, he's second last year, but nobody felt like, oh my God, Adrian Brody fucking like won that. And that's such a snub. Like nobody sits there and say like,
Oh, I'm sure Timmy does.
I'm sure he does. Like, yeah, he's talking about it in a magazine, but like I'm talking about like you and I and people we see online. It's not like when
Yeah, I
people
know.
bring up Rami Malek and they're like, how the fuck didn't we give shit to Bradley Cooper that year? Or how didn't we
Yeah.
give it to this person or that person? When we play this revisionist history, even a year ago, even after the stupid fucking speech Adrian Brody gave last year, it was like, yeah, he gave a stupid speech, but his performance was undeniable. So it's a little bit of that. And I think Marty Supreme, if he misses, I think that actually helps him in the long run. I think like if he misses the win, like he'll get
Yeah,
nominated
yeah.
for this. He's going to get nominated. This movie's going to get probably 8 to 10 nominations. He could easily do that.
Hmm.
And it's again a top five contender. But in terms of his acting, and he's great in the film. This is not a shot at his acting. It's just how I think the Academy is going to think. I just think that they're going to go with the either the guy that's proven or the international star. You know, I think they're going to go with the more mature actors and let him wait a little bit. And that helps
Hmm.
him in terms of building a narrative and a legacy and things of like,
Sure.
that helped with DiCaprio. It helps with tons of people that then they're like, finally, it's his chance to win. Like
Yeah.
I think in the Emmys, like John Hamm won in the last year when that show was way past its prime of winning and stuff like that. So, it just builds a narrative of finally winning one. But then maybe he doesn't win one, or maybe he does win one. Who knows? Erik, you've been around all these campaigns and you've been seeing a lot of stuff this week. Where are you at with the like best actor, best actress? Because I feel like actor and actress are such an interesting categories right now because there are these top tier contenders, but there really are these 3 or 4 spots potentially that are wide open, especially an actress. It feels like there's Jessie Buckley in the field. And
Hmm.
where that one's going with, I wanted to get your thoughts on actress and how that's evolving and yeah, and where the hell we're at with that thing and what could
Well, I mean,
play out.
I just did my actress predictions
Well,
for
looky there.
November. That came out a few days ago, where I put Arrivo up to number three.
Yeah.
So I feel very uh un uncomfortable with that choice. So we'll see what December looks like. But yeah, this is I don't see how or why you would ever like change Jesse Buckley and Renata Rensib as one and two. That it just there isn't really an argument that I think is valid to kind of go otherwise. So you then have Cynthia Erivo, Amanda Seyfried, Rose Byrne, Chase Infinity, Emma Stone, Jennifer Lawrence. Actually, I don't want to underestimate Jennifer Lawrence here. I have her at eighth, but the Gotham nom, the Biffin nom, there is something like percolating there. Um, uh, I don't know. We'll see. But at the same time, there's also, I think, this sense of a similarity in subject and performance for something like Die My Love and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. There's that, I think maybe voters will be, I don't want to say turned off by, but maybe let's we don't need both, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
I think there's going to be one um, sad modern mother
yes,
film, and
exactly.
but also too. I mean, they might both miss because Jesse Buckley might just fit the spot for sad
Well, I
mom of
mean,
the year.
I think Buckley's just going to have
She's
enough number one votes all the way along, all down the line to just make nothing really
it's
matter.
crazy that that category, which has been the most chaotic in the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years even,
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
going to be the one that's locked up the most, I
And I
think.
think that most people will feel really, really good about
Oh yeah, because she's
because
she's great.
even those that are detractors of Hamnet
She can't deny her.
still really like her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people love her and her work as an actress, and she's also campaigning this and teasing The Bride, which comes out next year too. Like her whole
Hmm.
CBS in the morning, CBS Sunday morning bit was half of it was about Hamden and the other half was about the bride. So she
Yeah.
is teasing that she's going to win an Oscar and then she's going to have the next project ready to go literally a week
Yeah.
after or a week before. So that'll be very interesting as well. No, I think she's, I hate saying this word when we're in November, but she's locked at this point for a nomination. And every single day it gets closer and closer, just saying locked for the win. And then it does get interesting. Like I think Renata's very much in. I don't think that, even though that film I feel like is falling down a bit in terms of like passion and where it's at, and doesn't feel it's as strong as it used to be. I still think she gets in. And then that's where I get really, really confused and wondering what's going to happen because you mentioned it. Like Cynthia Erivo in this movie that we talked about today, like it's kind of like it would coast off of getting nominated last year and the whole 5 hour experience for that. She's also a previous nominee before that, or two-time nominee before that. Does Chase Infinity get in off of just a coattail nomination with that film's absolute love? We have an interview with her that I did on the site. She's lovely, and she is campaigning for that already. All the women for that film, they have interviews up on the site. They are campaigning, and so there's that. But then that trio of there's Amanda Seyfried, there's Jennifer Lawrence, there's Rose Byrne, there's Tessa Thompson. There's Sydney Sweeney for Christie, even if that's still a thing. Even though
It is not.
even though she's doing roundtables, I don't believe it is. But the point is,
It's not. It's not.
the point is that all those films and all those performances are going to be pretty much the single nomination for those films, and that's very rare
Yeah.
for multiple films to do that in a given year. It's very, very rare. So that's where I start thinking of Emma Stone and Begonia. And I start thinking of Chase Infinity and I start thinking of Cynthia Erivo because those films, because Stone's a previous winner, two-time winner, Erivo and Infinity and Renata Reinsve and Jesse Buckley, they're all in Best Picture contenders. Unless Searchlight, how do you feel about Searchlight with Amanda Seyfried and turning that into something more than just her? Because I think it's going to be difficult for them.
I think it's gonna be difficult. It's a Christmas release as well. That puts a lot of things at the end of the year. But I mean, I think song is potential. But yeah, it doesn't feel like there's really going to be a lot. This isn't going to be like The Brutalist. It's not getting 10 nominations. No one else is going to get in from the film
No,
other than her.
it's
Although
not.
everyone's very very good,
Yeah,
and everything about it is impeccable. Great like production design, costume design, score is amazing. I think that's possible
previous
coming
winner.
right off
Yeah,
of a last year's winner. Um, and yeah, but I think it's closer to only getting in Seyfried than kind of anything else. And it's not like I believe Searchlight really thought, hey, we don't have an actress contender. Let's buy this movie only to get one Oscar nomination.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of that to it,
yeah,
but not really. But I think it's most likely only going to be her.
yeah. I agree. Any chance on Kate Hudson?
Not past Golden Globe
No,
nomination.
that's another one too.
No.
Where it's just that's it would be the only thing for that
And
film, right?
another Christmas release.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
telling
it
you, they're
certainly
all.
would be the only thing from that film.
I know, but it is screening, and these are movies that are screening, and I kind of am starting to believe that it's going to just be the wave of previous nominees or winners or people that are in strong contenders for picture, and that's usually how it goes for a lot of other categories, like actor. Like, what do you do with actor Eric? Like there, like I said, I think there's the three with Timmy and
Hmm.
Wagner and Leo up at the front. But
Yeah.
what do those other two spots look like? Because it feels like seven, like six, seven, eight guys. You got called out this week on the Big Picture podcast for
Yes, I did.
for
For
having
having Ethan Hawke at number 11
11,
last month.
which you've moved now up to number six.
He's up to number 6,
See what peer pressure
which
does, folks.
honestly, he is only there because of bullying from Sean Fennessy, which is when I see him next in person, I'm gonna kick him in the knees, like I
It,
was Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon.
wait, so if you had
Um,
legs, you kick him
I do
for
have
real?
legs. They're just
We
really
love you,
small, like
Sean.
Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon.
No, Sean, we love
Yes.
you, Sean. We love you.
No,
But
listen, listen. I was trying to kind of balance a little bit of what I feel
mhm.
was extreme behavior, like those that suddenly had Ethan Hawke winning at number 1, which I think that's lunacy. I
That's
think
so,
it's crazy.
that's silly pants. That's silly pants
It's
behavior.
very silly. So that was never going to be my what I would do. So, he worked his way up, and I do that, every month. When I start doing, the weeklies, that's when you see when we just have so many things happening all the time. You need to kind of update weekly because the game changes. But his was a character, a role, and a film that needed and needs to kind of build. There just there's no logic to having Ethan Hawke at number 1 right now. There just
Yeah.
isn't.
Other
So
than if
it
you
when
want something to happen to get him in, like that's the only thing I think you can have him at number one for is to try to hope predict him to get a nomination.
I
But
guess,
but I don't believe that he's a winner. Like that movie, Sony Pictures Classics, like that is. I know you also won the medallion at Telluride and everything, but there does not seem to be the push for that thing. And also, it doesn't help that Linklater has another film and he's been splitting his time, and Hawk's doing pretty much the entire promotional press for this. Um, but yeah, I think that I think he definitely could be one of the last two that get in. I
I
think,
think so too, because
yeah.
I'm with you. I think DiCaprio, Chalamet, Mora are the top three.
Mhm.
And definitely have talked to a lot of Brazilian Golden Globe voters this week. My
Oh
goodness.
yeah, oh yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. My goodness.
My goodness, I've heard
Yes.
so many things about the golden from a friend of mine who is a member who's friends with a lot of those Golden Globe members, and they cannot stop talking
Yeah.
about
Oh,
Whack-a-more.
yes.
You know,
Oh, yes. But yeah, after that, it's Joel Edgerton, George Clooney, Ethan Hawke, Michael B. Jordan, Jesse Plemons, Jeremy Allen White is somehow still in the conversation. There's possibilities.
can
There's
I
possibilities.
can I throw out a crazy possibility that we're
Is it
not?
Russell Crowe?
No, I don't think it's. I'm not going that crazy.
Okay, because I've had a couple of people that are like, it's going to be Russell Crowe in Nuremberg. And there are, articles coming out about Nuremberg's box office as this slow burn, that it's the conclave of the season,
I've heard that too. I've heard that.
which
Well, I told you.
it's not, but yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I mean, no, I did not, but it it does fit the bill of the
The
absolutely
traditionalist pick.
middle of the road kind of
Yeah.
inoffensive adult drama.
Yeah.
It certainly fits that bill.
It does, I mean, at least it would be Russell Crowe and not Rami Malek, because oh my God,
Yes, absolutely. Rami Malek is unsurprisingly terrible.
honestly, the best person in that film is Leo Woodall, who I think is actually really good in that film.
I think he's good. He's got his little
Him and
sad
Shannon,
story.
him and Shannon.
Shannon's good. Well, you know what I want to happen? I
Mm,
want Michael Shannon to be the only nomination again
again,
for
again.
his movie. That's
Well,
what I
Richard,
want.
I want Richard
That'd
E.
be
Grant.
amazing.
I want Richard E. Grant for coming in with that wig. It's
Oh
just,
my goodness. Richard E.
um,
Grant.
no, I was gonna say someone that I feel is part of a movie that is surging and I actually think is now in the top five.
No,
And you know what I'm going to say.
I do know what you're going to say, and you're wrong.
And his other actor is surging as well. I wouldn't be surprised because he's campaigning with them, and the love is strong for Frankenstein. I think Oscar Isaac could squeak into places this season. I really do. I really do. I think that Erik, that movie's passion is crazy strong right now. You can't deny that. Like that movie is going to probably
Yeah,
get
its audience
10
scores rose once it hit Netflix instead of fell, which is highly unusual.
highly unusual. I think I'm at this point where I'm pretty confident in my five for supporting actor at this point. I think that it's Penn, Sarsgaard, Mescal, Del Toro for one battle, and I'm thinking it's just Jacob Elordi. Like I
Yeah,
really do.
that's my top five right now.
And no offense to the Sandman, and no offense to Jeremy Strong, and really anybody else after that, and Delroy Lindo, I just don't think that any of those performances are going to crack those five. I think those five gentlemen are going to be there. Winner is a different conversation, I think, at this point.
Hmm.
But I think those are the five, and it's particularly Olordi. You know, I think that like that guy is definitely going to get in. Barring any emails, or something. But I think that I think that that makeup nomination and I think make a win for Mike Hill and his team is going to help him. But I could see a world where Oscar Isaac is a surprise that kind of lingers around the season. I'm not saying he's going to get in, but I think that he's far in a far more beloved and seen film than even somebody
Sure,
like Ethan Hawke, who was like,
sure.
even like Jesse Plemons, even Jeremy Allen White. Like I think that there's a world where he's actually in the top 10 that we need to consider. And
Hmm.
and
Okay.
this is going to sound blasphemous, but I think he has a better shot than Michael B. Jordan. So, because I think that Frankenstein is the is the monster film, the horror adjacent film that the Academy members will flock to more than I think Sinners. I think they'll both get a ton of nominations, but I think you know it's the more classical pick rather than the more modern pick. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't know. I just want to.
Hmm.
I'm
O-
kind of feeling that.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I felt it. I felt that you were going there.
I don't think it's crazy though, right? I mean maybe I am nuts, but it's just something I was thinking about this week in particular. Is there anything else? Any other thoughts you want to make about supporting actor, supporting actress, real quick? Anything there?
No, I mean we just like named
We
off our
are
supporting
five.
actor predictions, which are the same five.
Yep,
I feel pretty good about that right now.
same.
Um, you know, like I said, I finally, for the first time, bumped Ariana Grande into the top five, and then here we are. It could still happen, but I feel pretty dubious about it now.
Well, it's like
But
Taylor. Her.
but
It's Taylor.
let's say that she's gone, and then I look at the rest of my top five, and I have Teyana Taylor, Amy Madigan, Inga Ib's daughter, Lilias L. Fanning, and I moved up Glenn Close and Odessa Zion. So who makes it in? Does Glenn Close make it in for a Knives Out movie? She should.
She
She
should.
could.
She could. I doubt it. I doubt
Hmm.
it. Um, I don't think the sentimental girls are going to get both in.
I do.
I don't. I think that I'm starting to think, as much as I love Inga, I think L is more likely to happen. Like sort of like I saw somebody say like it'd be like a Belfast situation where we all think Karina Balfe was going to get in, and then it's Judy Dench. I don't think that that's
Yes.
the same comp because Judy Dench is a winner and all that stuff, but it's just a more familiar face, I think, than Inga. But I think they both should get in. But I don't. I think they. I mean, you also have to look out for Regina Hall if they just go full on one battle and break history. I know you don't want to think about that,
Oh
but
no. I
but like
of course I want to think about it because
it's
it's certainly
possible.
possible. Sure, of course
Yeah.
it is.
And that's an actual supporting performance that would get nominated. But and then yeah, you mentioned Odessa for Marty Supreme, but then there's, I mean, Paltrow also just kind of makes sense as well too, even though I think she doesn't have enough to do
I
in
don't
this
either.
role.
It's why I dropped her out of the five,
I mean,
I think.
I would love a world where Nina Hoss could get in, but I just think that Grande, Taylor, and man, every day Amy Madigan just seems to be something that's going to happen. I don't think that it is an online. We were on a podcast with Ethan Simi for his draft podcast, and
Hmm.
he was saying this, and then I was watching. I think there was like a Gold Derby video, and there were some pundits there talking about how like they think it's just an online thing, and I think that those people are wrong. I think that they have campaigned her so well. I think she has done enough press and she's doing roundtables and she's had conversations with Pete Hammond and Sarah Paulson did a Q&A for her and she's talked with Kyle Buchanan and she is doing press and they are pushing her and that and the makeup nom I think are very in play for Weapons, a movie that people do like as well too,
Yeah.
and has done really well, and it's such a fun performance too, and extremely memorable in a crop of performances that are not as memorable, I would say. I'm not saying that like Amy Madigan's going to win. The nomination is the win for her, but I think every day passes and this lineup gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Even though that I have seen your girl Emily Blunt at a lot of Q&As and things and a lot of events recently. Eric, are you scared if she comes back around?
I don't think scared is the word that I'd be looking for. I would
Terrified?
just be, no, I would just be wondering if, it's worth her time to be doing that.
Dwayne Johnson too. He was at a lot of the Academy stuff as well for the Governor's Award. Last thing I wanted to talk to you about was the Governor's Awards. Really quick, we had those
Yeah.
happen. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that night and the presentations and the speeches. If you got a chance to watch them, and Tom Cruise has a Oscar. He doesn't have a competitive Oscar, but he has an Oscar.
He is an Oscar recipient.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So
Hmm.
is Debbie Allen and
Hmm.
Dolly Parton and who is it? Wayne Thomas. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Win Thomas.
Wynn Thomas. Yes.
Yeah.
Great group of recipients, honestly, and
Yeah. Oh, I
great
think it's,
speeches.
yeah.
Loved Lily Tomlin's like 15-minute monologue. Just I
It
thought
was
that was
crazy. That was like Wanda Sykes at the end of the Critics' Choice LGBTQ thing last June, where
yeah.
her acceptance speech was like 23 minutes long. It was
Really?
crazy. It was really funny.
Wow. Was it like a whole set? Like
It basically was just like a stream of consciousness, and it was kooky as hell.
oh,
But
I love that. I love it.
we're
But
we're living for it.
Cruz was great. Dolly wasn't there. Debbie Allen's speech was actually very very beautiful.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
I just think that it was a great night. I wish for the love of God, this is my last note before we kick it out of here. I really wish they would bring this shit back to the damn ceremony. The idea of Tom Cruise getting an Oscar and it being on like YouTube is
Yeah.
this is it's such a win for the Oscars to kill like a bit that Conan would, and like Conan would kill whatever bit he needed to do for Tom Cruise to be like anointed on Oscar night. You fucking kidding me? Like it's what a dumb move. They got to stop having
Yes.
those there. They got to incorporate them back in the show, and everything, or at least live stream the fucking thing too. My God, like to have to wait for clips the next day is ridiculous. But it only just was it seemed like a campaign starter for him and Inarritu for next year, is what it looked like. Eric,
Yes.
where can they find you and all your work on the internet?
You can find me at awardswatch.com, of course. And awards underscore watch on Twitter. AwardsWatch everywhere else. Oh, I did want to mention something
Okay.
that
All right.
did come up during my time here in Los Angeles, and it should not come as a surprise because a lot of the screenings that I went to, including the Wicked one, I was completely surrounded by SAG nomcom voters. You know who does not like the name change of the SAG Awards?
Actors.
Actors do not like it. So I really, really wonder if SAG-AFTRA after this year and Netflix, because I think Netflix is a,
Part of it.
a part of the driving force behind this change as well, if they will go back and retcon their own awards HBO Max style, because I have not met a single actor that thinks that this is a good idea to take the guild's name out of the name of the award.
Yeah, which is crazy because you're like 100% pro for it. And that's, and so it's just the kind of the opposite of the voter. It's like Eric's like pro actor and,
Hmm.
anti-SAG.
You know no you know the name of the name of the award being the actor is great, and the actor goes to
Wait,
the
so they are
line.
literally
That's
not going to
great.
call it a SAG award anymore. It's going to be the actor on the like
Yes, it's
on the actual like award itself. You got to be
we'll
fuck.
we'll we'll see what the new engraving looks like.
Okay.
It's going to be a
I think
mess.
that that would
It's a
be
mess.
that would be fucking crazy if on the award it's called the actor. I mean that would be or actor. That's ooh that is that. I mean, I just thought it was just a ceremony change. I didn't even think about the fact that it could be changed on the actual award because that would be like calling the DJ director. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's fucking
It
stupid. Like,
it's it's really
it
really
felt like it
bizarre.
felt like it was made by the TikTokers that are a part of that fucking organization now in the first
I
place.
guess. I
So
don't know. But yeah, I had to make sure and mention that before we close because it was definitely a topic of conversation this
yeah.
week.
Well, I was just going to ask you what your favorite party was that you've been to this week because you've been to a ton of events and
A
things.
lot of them, and you know what has been kind of great is that they've been very relatively very intimate parties.
Yeah.
And I like that. Maybe just a couple of dozen people. The Roof Man one was a little larger,
Was it on a
full
roof?
of it was not on a roof,
Well,
no.
then that's
It was
just an
pouring
invalid part.
rain. We were not going to be doing a rooftop party.
Yeah.
But yeah, more
Convenient.
intimate, and lots of Critics' Choice and Golden Globe voters, like I mentioned, because those are the people that are voting next week, uh, as the holiday approaches. But it was great. I mean, I think it seems pretty obvious that I would want to and probably pick the Hamnet little meet and greet and party, and it was really, really nice. I
Yeah.
talked to the costume designer for a very long time because we had seen each other the few days before at the after party, but didn't talk. And so, yeah, we just talked about fashion and clothes and anachronisms and all that kind of stuff, and it was really cool. But yeah, I like the parties. They're
Yeah.
little quickies, like 2 hours long, and then you go on to the next thing and next screening, and that's the name of the game.
Yeah. What's the count at Hamnet for you now?
Five.
Five. And you actually finished the fifth screening because they had like technical issues
Yes,
and you didn't
there
leave.
was a technical issue with the premiere 45 minutes in, and the sound went out, and it was really tragic and it was kind of heartbreaking, but at least it didn't happen later in the film. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was rough, especially for, what is arguably the best screening room in the city.
Yeah. And you stayed all the way through. You didn't
I
leave,
stayed all
you
the way
know,
through.
you
Yeah.
did. Yeah. You stayed. You didn't leave like some people there did. That's what I
No,
heard.
I did
Um,
a I did a 360
there you go. And you got back into your seat.
instead of a
Um,
180.
there you go. Well, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterbox, Blue Sky, Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work here. Again, we're going to have an extensive podcast discussion on Monday. That'll be about Wicked for Good and getting into the the all the stuff with that. And if you like podcasts, we have Director Watch. We had the episode that released yesterday with myself and Erik and Jay talking about Beau Travail for our Claire Denis movie series. We will have a new episode next week on things on either probably on Wednesday or Friday. We're not going to put it out on Thanksgiving. That's silly. 35 Shots of Rum will be the film we are talking about there. Very excited to talk about that. We will be back when Sophia gets back, and we will have her back on here, and we'll talk about the race. And they're gonna have so much stuff that's gonna be coming out. We're gonna have the Gothams, and we'll have the Indie Spirits. We'll have Critics' Choice. We'll have Winter Globes. Erik, Globes are released soon too, right? And that around that time period as well. And
Nominations
yeah,
or the
nominations. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that the first week and a half of December is quite a lot.
So we will have more content then, and more podcasts, and discuss all those things, and start seeing what are the films that are going to make it all into these Oscar categories. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.